Your next phase of growth is closer than you think. Eisner Amper, an accounting, advisory, and outsourcing firm, sees your transformation as our purpose. Whether you're streamlining processes, empowering productivity, or navigating strategic growth, we help you prepare for today so that you can thrive tomorrow. Eisner Amper, ready, set, grow.
I'm Kim Singletary, and you're listening to Biz Talks, a weekly conversation with local business leaders about topics affecting New Orleans and Southeast Louisiana. Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of Biz Talks on video again. Yay! I am excited today to talk about content creators. So these are the influencers, the stars of Instagram and TikTok, and in this digital age that we live in, they wield a lot of power. Power that basically every company is trying to harness. So I want to answer some of those questions. So what does the content creator market look like here? How do companies go about finding a good fit? How does it all work? What are the costs? What can they expect? What's the ROI? And to answer all of that and to give us some kind of 101 guidance here, I'm excited to talk to Bianca Cook. She is the founder of something called the Nola Collective, and I'm going to let her explain what that is all about. Welcome, Bianca.
Thank you so much for having me, Kim. I'm very excited to talk all about content creation and our creator market here in New Orleans. I think more people need to know way more about just the industry as a large that's growing so quickly. And of course, like you said, people see content creators or influencers on social media all the time, but kind of don't know all the, ins and outs of like maybe sometimes who they are, or how did they get, how do you even grow a following? So excited to talk about all those details.
So tell me a little bit about you, Bianca. Are you from the area? Like, what's your background?
Yeah, so I love to say I'm from down the road. So I'm from LaPlace, Louisiana.
All right.
So not that far away. Grew up though, coming back and forth to New Orleans all the time, and then moved to Lafayette, Louisiana to go to undergrad at UL Lafayette. So stayed there actually for like longer than my undergrad, so like about 8 years, and then end up coming back to New Orleans area around 2019. So I am definitely local to Southern Louisiana and know this area very well.
So what is the Nola Collective? This is something that you started. So tell me what this is.
Yes. So the Nola Collective, we're a digital media company and also a cultural strategy agency. So kind of two businesses in one. So from the digital media side, we tell people everything, events, experiences, where to go in New Orleans. So that is all of our social medias that you see from Instagram to TikTok. Even some people subscribe to our newsletter that goes out every week, just telling you what's happening in New Orleans. And I like to say from local stages to big, like major stages, because sometimes we will travel, maybe cover something that is say like CultureCon in New York, or maybe it's like a big like Art Basel in Miami. So I've definitely covered other events like not in New Orleans, but that are still relevant to maybe like cultural moments like that are happening currently. So if it's like a big cultural week or weekend, we definitely can cover as well. But we mainly focus on New Orleans because we have so much talent here and we have so much going on already that it makes sense. And then on the other side of the business, so I have a strategy background initially. I had to learn, I feel like all the creative aspect, but coming from like a more corporate strategy background, I was like just seeing that I can combine this into one. So I help brands, local business owners, and individual founders and creators with everything from content to strategy, like say content strategy, events, and then also advertising and marketing. So when it comes to that, we really say we help our audience and our clients help with strategic visibility. So definitely a tongue twister, but strategic visibility is just what we focus on. So whether that's starting a strategy campaign for your company through our channels or helping you with your own business, we focus everything from, like I said, the content aspect, the strategy aspect, and then we could work on events and like obviously a big advertising or marketing strategy for you as well. So kind of mixing together a few different things when it comes to digital, social, and then business strategy as well.
So on the event front, you guys were just involved with the Essence Festival. Tell me a little bit about what you guys did with them.
Yeah, so directly with Essence. So this is my third year covering under the Nola Collective. I just covered media. So been going to Essence Fest. Like I said, I'm from LaPlace, Louisiana. So been going to Essence Fest for years and years and years. And then when I started the Nola Collective about 3 years ago, I was like, oh, that is definitely the goal. I want to cover Essence Fest. So we had our team, boots on the ground, covering different stages and just being involved in that way. So lots of content came out of that. But what you're referring to is our creator house that we end up doing, which was we already had a networking series called the Link Up, which is one of our internal event series at the Nola Collective. And so we're like, hey, Essence is coming up. Normally, like local New Orleans creators aren't, there's some people that are involved, but like we wanted to make sure and highlight and celebrate the local creators that are already here. And we felt like that was a gap in just all the things that happen during Essence, especially because it happens right here, in our backyard, right? So because I already had the networking series, I had originally pitched this to another company to kind of be a sponsor. So kind of outreach, I'm big on outreach. So pitch this to another company to be a sponsor just because sponsorship dollars are important. And ironically, did not hear anything. So I was like, okay, we are already busy enough. We're covering 3 days in the convention center. Cool. We just won't have this thing. But I had the full idea ready. My team was ready, but I was like, hey, we're already and we support, like we'll be a media sponsor for other events. So we had Sunday supper on Sunday. So convention center 3 days and then helping with Sunday supper on like Sunday afternoon. So it's like, okay, we're busy enough. Well, 2 weeks before, we got reached out to by Sprout Social, which ended up being our presenting sponsor to help us bring the Link Up Creator House to life. So that is what we end up doing the Wednesday before Essence Fest to really celebrate, like I said, and educate, celebrate local New Orleans creators.
And so you brought together more than 50 New Orleans creators.
Yes, yes. So we're very intentional. My idea for it, like I said, the whole goal and purpose was to really highlight all these people that are the reason when people come to New Orleans, they're able to find restaurants, hotels, things to do. So that was why it was important to bring all type of creators together from all different niches. So they could be fashion creators, they could be obviously we have a lot of food creators, lifestyle creators. We brought all those everyone together under just one roof, house creator house, and really wanted to make sure that they were having the right tools to like grow as a creator and also to network and talk with everyone. So I feel like with the Nola Collective, I talked to so many different people from artists, DJs to the event organizers. And so I'm very connected with a lot of people, but I wanted to make sure our community starts having those touch bases to where we can grow. Just like when I travel to like a Miami or an LA or New York, they have so many creator events. And I feel like I wanted to bring what I saw in other cities to New Orleans.
So I was drawn because when you sent this info, it said, so this one event, this link up, created about more than 35 original pieces of content. And those pieces generated more than 500,000 organic views within that 1 week. And they spotlighted the city, the business, the restaurants, the culture. And it struck me, you put at the end that creator infrastructure may be the next frontier of economic development, especially for small and mid-sized cities competing for visibility, visitors, talent, and investment, which of course we are one of. So it is something that you said that like that New Orleans definitely benefits from, and it's definitely an easier place to do it than somewhere in Iowa, right? So, and I can say that because I've lived I've lived out there. But but I want to have an idea of what that market looks like. When you said you brought together 50 local content creators, I don't have an idea of what that looks like. That's a lot more than I thought there was. So what does that
Yeah.
market look like?
Yeah, we have so many content creators. Like I feel like, everyone algorithms are algorithms. So depending on what you look for, you probably only see like a very small percentage of like the market. But we have so many people that are newer content creators, older content creators. Like we have a variety. And I think I also want to highlight that at the Creator House. I was happy to bring together some people who didn't know each other that maybe they may be like, oh, I heard this name, but haven't put a face to it. Like there was a lot of those conversations happening. But no, we do have I would say well over 100 creators probably in New Orleans, and that's growing. And we do have a lot of gaps too. Like as I had worked with X Games that just had passed, we were trying to find more male content creators and sports content creators. We saw that there was a gap in that, that concentration. But I feel like the creator economy here it's small enough, but like way bigger than people might think.
Okay. So how do if you're a small business and you're looking at it, and I mean, obviously these creators, depending on, what their followings look like, can have a big impact for a
Yeah.
business. So how does a company harness some of that impact?
Yeah, I would say if I was advising a small business owner, I would really tell them to like more insight. What does your ultimate customer look like? What does your customer profile look like? Maybe it's you have two different customers that you're trying to target. What creators, and I would just search New Orleans content creators on Instagram, on TikTok, we all do the same hashtags. You will find so many people that will pop up. But for you as a particular business owner, who has the same audience that you're trying to target from those, maybe customer profiles that you have? And I think some people kind of go wrong with just going by follower count. I would not even say, not that it isn't important. It's just like, does that they try to maybe go with the biggest content creator they could get, but they might not have the same audience that, aligns with their business. So I would say as a small business owner, I would look first at like what your customer profiles are and start finding content creators like via online or even reach out. Like this is a service that we do to really align your business with those content creators. That way it's easier. You're getting, okay, this content creator, it does have maybe more mothers and maybe like mothers over 40 in their audience versus this one who skews more to like Gen Z and more college age. So I would say definitely looking and seeing what that customer profile first is the most important step.
Okay. And so when you're looking at these creators, how do you know what kind of audience they skew to?
Honestly, just from looking, you're really assessing what their content is.
Okay.
But you could always reach out to creators just to even have a 15-minute conversation. I think more business owners need to kind of understand, like, hey, like, let's just do a 15-minute touch base. I want to hear more about you as a creator and see how we can work together. Also, there's also sometimes like people kind of think of content creators and influencers the same way. There are some people who are just content creator. So you could say, hey, me as a coffee shop, I'm a small coffee shop in New Orleans. I need additional, like, I want to spruce up my social media and I want someone to help me create really nice content that you could contact or reach out to influencers that you like their style and help you come up, say, with like a package of 5 reels or 10 reels, or maybe it's a mix of photos and reels and pay them just for that. But they don't even post it on their page. Like you could hire content creators for different things. One of my friends just got hired to do an event recently. So she was just contacted and was hired to cover an event via content creation. So doing content, doing interviews, getting some behind the scenes, but that did not live on her page. So there's sometimes you could just hire them to just even spruce up a social media or hire them for one-off events or for a series of events. So there's a variety of ways to use content creators, especially if you like somebody's particular style. Now, when you get to say they're a content creator and obviously a bigger following, like influencer status, however you want to say it, then you're talking about them creating content and posting on their own platform for discoverability, right? So most people kind of only go that one route of thinking, oh, well, I want them to post on their page about my business. Yes, they could definitely do that, but you could also get a combination of both or kind of get more of that background. And we call it UGC content. So user generated content of a product or, say an event or just even like a service business, like a coffee shop.
I have never heard that term before. So GC. So when I think of influencers and content creators, I think of them as kind of the same, but it's interesting that you explain the difference. And now it's obviously easy to see. Yeah,
Yeah.
anybody who creates content would be a content creator. And influencer is a different thing. You'd have to have a certain amount. When do you get considered an influencer? Is there like a mark that you hit, or like how does
No.
okay, so how does
I
this
do not feel like, long as honestly people who are influencers, so like I use the term culture creator or
okay.
culture curator really. And so I even have submitted talks for it just to start talking about this term culture curator, because I feel like people who have influence are people that just have a community that really supports them, right? But that could be different people. That could be a photographer, that could be a DJ, that can be, we have so many musicians that have a community that's behind them. They have influence over a community, but sometimes they're just more so like, they're not necessarily, or they might not even consider themselves an influencer, but they are, because they have a community that follows them. And it could be, 2,000 followers, it could be 3,000. So that's why when you had originally asked, like, how do small businesses even, find content creators, or what should they look for? I always say, look to see who's the audience or the community behind this creator if you're going more the influence route and you want discoverability through their community.
So if you go on when you're just trying to find them, and say you're not a
Mhm.
huge social media person, and you go on Instagram, you would search what you would search. You'd start with NOLA content creators.
Yeah, or New Orleans content creators and
Content
see
creators.
who
Okay.
pops up.
Okay.
I will say, like, obviously that'll be very broad, but say like that say you're, I keep using coffee shop, but say you're a coffee shop owner and say coffee shop content New Orleans. See
Okay.
who's already made content around your business. So it could also be, say you are another business. Say you're a lawyer and you are looking for a content creator that maybe has worked with other law firms. Like, you could start to see sometimes even like that may be more UGC content, but sometimes often people tag themselves like who made such video. So like people use content creators for so many things. I've seen people like apartment complexes, maybe give a discount or like pay a content creator that lives there, maybe something for them to create content about an apartment complex because they are looking for more residents. And it really, I've seen content because we now I mean, I don't know how you find out about news or like things going on, but most people really just find it out through TikTok or Instagram or even X or Threads. And like people are consuming a lot more information via social media than anything else. So it just makes sense naturally for a lot of small business owners to just carve out for their marketing budget and understand like, that this is a potentially just like another asset of their marketing strategy.
So when you're saying carve it out in your budget, what are the costs involved? What how does this even work? Because I think like some of it people are used to. If you're doing radio ads or TV ads or print ads, there's certain costs per size, per whatever. How does this work? How do the costs work when you're talking about this situation?
Yeah, so all content creators and influencers right now are really functioning, they function as their own business.
Okay.
So it's almost like you going to a consultant. So when you go to them, everybody's a little bit different, but most of the time, like it just depends if like, hey, I'm looking for promotion around, say, an event, and I want you to do one reel. Well, that person will probably just give you, okay, here's my one reel number, and it could be a few $100s. Most of the time, I would just, it really depends. I feel like we don't have a market rate
Right.
per se, because like everyone's technically function as their own consultants. And I hate to say it that way, but like it really is in a sense of like there's no I guess like standard minimum at this point, just because content creation is still very new in how we're functioning. I don't know if they will get to that spot, but they function as their own consultant. So it really could be from a few $100s to maybe almost 1,000, just depending on that person and what you're asking for. I would say more so when it comes to cost and what will say increase something or decrease something is if like say you're asking, it's all about the scope of work. So say you're asking, hey, I want you to create a reel for me and I want to be able to run ads on it. So say company A is asking influencer A to run, we want to run ads on this content that you're posting. Well, that influencer technically can charge more because you're trying to run an ad using their content that's on their page, right? Or things such as, like they can use your reel in perpetuity, forever. If for that stuff costs more. So similar to like traditional advertisement, certain things will add certain costs. So if you're wanting to, if you want all the raw content, maybe from a shoot, versus you only wanted like versus just one reel, or you that could add more cost to it.
So is it, but I can imagine kind of a one-off, kind of like with other media. Like if you just do one of something, you're not going to have the same impact, right? Than if you're continuously posting something. So I guess how does it work on that end? I'm guessing you don't recommend that people just do kind of a one thing and then see what happens.
Not really. And this is where so this is why I say, like, for the Nola Collective, as far as our agency, we do strategic campaigns. So, like, we've worked with different companies to say, hey, I know this. So, what is your goal? And then this is how we would suggest doing a content strategy to effectively get the word out there. Because you're right. Sometimes one off is not the best. But oftentimes, what I see a business owner would do, say, like a new restaurant opens, I'm sure you've seen this online, you'll for 1 week or 2 weeks, you'll see like 15 different people posting about it, right? So most of the time they've either hired a PR firm, or maybe the restaurant themselves have reached out to, say 5 to 10 different influencers that they ask to come review their restaurant, or, maybe comp a meal or pay them to post a reel about it. Like we see it every single time we, have a new hotel or new restaurant. So that business understood the same thing we're talking about of, one off may not be the best sometimes now, but sometimes it does happen. Like there's sometimes one off videos, it might go viral and like everybody understands, everybody wants to go to this business or have this service. So sometimes, it's always a gamble with the algorithms that you're dealing with. But most of the time I would suggest like working with a few different influencers for a certain campaign, whether it's like, a seasonal campaign or even throughout the year.
So I love that you're talking about some of the kind of tips and tricks. So when you're talking to people, what do you think is I guess, the most least understood part of all this that you'd like people to know, and maybe a couple of tips on getting into all this?
As far as from the business owner side,
Yeah.
okay, least understood. I would say it probably is the follower account aspect. Like people kind of just automatically go to follower account versus understanding, versus trying to dive deeper into like who the person's audience is probably the most like misunderstood aspect of it, because you may have, and even you might have two people with the same follower account, but they might have two completely different audiences and one may serve your customer base more versus the other. So I would definitely say that's the most misunderstood. So I would definitely encourage a lot of business owners, do your research, reach out to creators. People are, always wanting to, work with businesses and really help them and make sure they're a good fit. Because like some of the, you as a creator, you don't want to do an advertisement or a reel for someone that doesn't really fit with your audience. So creators are good with saying like, hey, this doesn't really fit. So I think just on the business end, I would make sure that aligns before you reach out to that person.
But you're looking for that ability to really target.
Yeah.
It's kind of quality over quantity sometimes.
Yes, definitely. Definitely.
And then I guess just like a couple of tips. So you said definitely reach out. I love the searching, because I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of people that are like, yeah, I go on and check on social media and stuff like that, but I'm not super knowledgeable, and so just to be able to go on and I've never thought of going on and just putting NOLA content creators, and starting there. So that's really interesting. Or
Yeah.
like, yeah, NOLA content creators, and then whatever it is you do, like you said, the coffee and all that stuff. So, and then kind of starting there, and then it sounds like it's just kind of, um, that there isn't, like you said, an industry standard, and so it's just kind of working with someone and seeing if you like what they do, and just going from there. But with the idea of creating more of a plan. And so when you do this through the Nola Collective, do you work with other content creators, or is this something that you guys do in-house? Like, do you recommend people to companies? So, like, how does that work?
A mix of both. So it really just depends. So we kind of function, like I said, with our strategic visibility in mind. So it could be if we're working with a company, we could have a portion of our contract posting directly through the NOLA Collective, but then we have an aspect to where we are managing creators. So we just did this for X Games. So hopefully you saw a lot of X Games content from our local content creators, and just really they came in and they wanted to be within the market, right? They're like, hey, we're new to the market. We really want to be, have like a presence here. So one of the unique things we did with them, and this is something I feel like is unique to the NOLA Collective, we helped them get directly into events in New Orleans. So they were like, hey, we want to give away tickets. We want to be in front of people because they're newer to the market. So, and on top of us doing promotion on the NOLA Collective, we helped them, we helped picked out like 15 content creators to post about X Games coming. They had a great experience. It was a fun time. I don't know if you got a chance to go.
I did get a chance to go, and I saw Aubrey Avocado. She gave
Yes,
away.
she was one of my content creators. Yes.
He was talking to one of the little boys that was doing tricks on his bike, and it
That
had
was the best
some
one.
attention.
Yes.
And they gave him, he was young. God, he was so young.
Mhm.
As a mom, I was watching him do these tricks and just like, oh my God. But and I did notice that on the second time through, he did put a helmet on. But they gave him free tickets for him and
Yes.
his family to go to the X Games, and so that was really cool. But that was one that popped up on my
Yes.
social.
Yes. That was such a heartwarming one. And that's a perfect example of a influencer campaign. You probably saw so many different videos and that one resonated with you, but she was definitely a part of our NOLA Collective creator team for X Games. And so we're able to touch so many different audiences, right? Because I'm sure that one reached so many people, but I'm sure it touched a lot of parents' hearts, like a lot of families that were like, oh, I definitely want to go. And plus, that was such a heartwarming thing and sweet thing for X Games to want to give tickets, to this family and really like make sure that they had a great time. So I really was appreciating and love working with them. And then, like I said, they wanted to really be boots on the ground to help them connect with a lot of event organizers in the city. We end up giving away tickets at the Creator House. We end up doing some nightlife events, some like daytime wellness events. So it really was like a true, like when we say like we focus on like a strategic campaign, like those are the aspects. It's not just, oh, we're going to post online. So we're really going to make sure that our clients have like a full, well-rounded, experience, and they get, everything they need. Because like posting is one aspect, but we still have to talk about like the in real life, experiences, especially when you're talking about like people, you want people to buy tickets. So like they have to feel like they, see themselves a part of that experience as well.
Yeah, and I'm sure managing expectations is part of it too. Like what should they expect from this experience?
Yes, definitely. And I would say like as we talk about like in real life experiences, I will definitely say for business owners, like don't be afraid of say hosting content creators like collectively just at your business. So whether you have a business that people just invite people, like I think this is something that we do help with of just like activation. So the Creator House was the activation, but it was internal, but we definitely help other businesses with that. So some of the best like events that I've been to is just like them, businesses saying, hey, just come, we'll host you. And we get a chance to authentically, without like it being a contracted reel or whatever, we're able to just experience the business on our own. And then people post, they post. If they don't, like those are the best ones where we don't have like the expectation of posting, but like some people often do. Same thing with the Creator House. We did not ask those creators. We would just want people to come and learn and meet each other. Ended up now, I think I checked the folder a few days ago. It was like over 45 pieces of content now, from that Creator House alone.
And then, like you said, I mean, the big kind of buzzword seems to be authenticity, and that's what people are
Mhm.
really looking for. And so, if it does feel like they're being given an ad, that's a kind of can kind of turn you off. But if it really
Yeah.
feels authentic, then that's something. And like you mentioned with that little boy, it did feel authentic. I mean, that was a little boy that was, you could tell that was his reaction, and yeah,
Yes.
it was really interesting. So. Well,
Yeah.
the NOLA Collective, if everybody, so look for you guys. I'm assuming you are all on all the social media. So,
Yes. Yes.
so look for you guys. And we'll end with a little get to know ya, Bianca. So I'm gonna guess the answer to this one, but digital or paper calendar?
Digital all the way.
I was pretty safe on that one. A book, a movie, a show, a podcast, something that you're liking right now.
Oh, definitely podcasts.
Okay.
I'm a big podcast person. So that's why I love talking to podcasts, but also love listening to podcasts. I love Emma Grede podcast. I don't know if you ever listened to any of her stuff. Also I love a lot of self-help, especially like women leadership podcasts. So Hot, Smart, Rich is another one. I'm trying to think. I feel like I have so many, but definitely Emma Grede's podcast is definitely one of my favorites. Off the Record is another one by two, I think, former news reporters. I don't know if they still work in news, but I know they worked in news at some point, but there also is like, a great one just to listen to, especially when it comes to like women leadership.
Absolutely. Your favorite productivity hack?
Favorite productivity hack. Well, I use my calendar for everything. So
Okay.
definitely making sure everything is in my calendar and link all my calendars together. Because if I don't link all my calendars together, then something's going to fall off. But that probably is like top tier of how I stay productive. It's just making sure I know what's going on in
So
my
you
life.
like, are you talking like you link your personal with your work with,
Yes.
okay.
Yes. I link it all through Outlook calendar. I like it better than Gmail, than Google Calendar. So
All right, there you go. And you're not a paid spokesperson, I see.
no.
Oh,
No, I wish Outlook would pay me.
so that was totally authentic.
Yes, it was.
So if you weren't doing what you do now, which sounds fun, what would you be doing?
So I'm living a little both of the worlds of corporate and media. So, technically healthcare and media. So this is technically what if you would ask me a few years ago, if I wasn't doing healthcare, what would I be doing? It'll be this. So yes.
A restaurant that you love for a work lunch.
Ooh, for a work lunch, I always love Dragos.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. I was just talking about oysters like the other day. It's one of my favorite restaurants to go at lunch, particularly. I actually like the one in Metairie a little bit better than the one at the Hilton. So,
All right, well, there you go.
yeah.
If you were given your own talk show, who would be your first guest?
Ooh, probably Michelle Obama if I could. If I had to wave a magic wand, it would be Michelle Obama.
So how come her? What would you talk about?
Just everything. I like her, and I always say this, like I love her as an individual. Obviously, she was a great first lady, but I love that she talks a lot about her journey of like her leadership, like working in corporate, being a lawyer, and then keeping her personal brand as she's with with her family, the amazing family, going through all the things. Like I've been to the Becoming book tour, and then she was here for Essence, and she has like her new book coming out. So I would just love to pick her brain of just like how she's going through all the phases in her life. So I'm ready for Michelle Obama.
She listens to this and she
Yeah.
happens to reach out, then you're welcome. So.
Yes.
But no, thank you so much. And again, it's the NOLA Collective.
Yes.
And thank you everybody for listening. And I hope that answered some 101 questions about how all of this influencer stuff works.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. And like Ken said, the NOLA Collective, THE NOLA Collective. And then if anybody wants to send an email, it's connect@thenolacollective.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And thank you,
Thank
Bianca.
you.
Thanks everybody for listening and watching.
Biz Talks is brought to you by Biz New Orleans Magazine. Follow us on social media at Biz New Orleans and visit bizneworleans.com for daily news and stories.